Yeah, you heard that right. One of the biggest names in AI just got put on a US national security blacklist. We're going to break down exactly how this happened, why it's a huge deal, and what it means for, well, pretty much everything.
Welcome to Newsbite. We've sifted through over 1,000 news articles from the last 24 hours to bring you the stories that matter most.
All right, here's what's on the docket today. We're starting with that bombshell story, the AI-Pentagon clash. Then we'll look at the money, because the markets are on edge. We'll break down who's winning and who's losing. After that, we're going global to see how the world is being divided by this. We'll give you a strategic playbook so you know what to do. And finally, a forecast of what's coming next. But first, let's get right to the headlines from a wild 24 hours.
Let's dive right in. First up, Anthropic, one of the giants of AI, has just been designated a supply chain risk by the Pentagon. That means they're facing a total ban from U.S. government work.
And get this, at the exact same time, their biggest rival, OpenAI, snags a huge Pentagon contract and closes a mind-blowing $110 billion funding round.
Meanwhile, tensions are flaring overseas. A U.S.-Israel strike in Iran has thrown global travel into chaos, grounding over 1,900 flights and sending oil prices through the roof.
But while some supply chains are breaking, others are being built. Micron just opened India's first-ever semiconductor assembly plant, and you guessed it, it's all about making AI chips. And to top it all off, Hollywood is getting a major shakeup. Paramount is set to buy Warner Bros. Discovery. The price tag? A massive $111 billion. Okay, let's unpack that top story, because this is huge. This is about way more than just two competing companies. This is the day AI officially became a political weapon. I mean, you really can't make this up. On one hand, you've got Anthropic, who's been very public about their ethical concerns with military AI. They're now labeled a supply chain risk and shut out from any federal contracts. And on the other hand, you've got OpenAI. They agreed to some safety guardrails, and bam, they walk right in, scoop up the Pentagon contract, and raise an insane amount of money.
And let's talk about that money for a second. We're talking $110 billion. This pushes OpenAI's valuation to a staggering $730 billion. This isn't just a vote of confidence. It's the market and the government basically crowning a winner in the global AI arms race. So it really makes you wonder, right? In this high-stakes race for military AI, is being ethically cautious now a weakness? Because here's why this matters so much. We're witnessing a huge consolidation of power. AI development isn't just a tech story anymore. It is now completely tangled up with national security and global politics.
Now, of course, a clash like this doesn't just happen in a bubble. The shockwaves are hitting the markets hard. Let's take a look at the money and see how geopolitics and these mega deals are moving billions.
Just look at this 24-hour snapshot. It's pretty wild. The conflict in Iran seems to have spooked the crypto market, wiping out $128 billion in Bitcoin's value, and oil prices are set to jump by 20%. But at the very same time, you've got this $111 billion media deal. So what does that tell us? It looks like big money is running away from geopolitical risk and pouring into what it sees as a safe bet. Massive companies getting even bigger.
So the lines are drawn pretty clearly. The day's winners, companies like OpenAI, Paramount, and Micron, the ones who are either consolidating their power or aligning with government strategy. And the losers? Well, that's Anthropic, airlines flying near conflict zones, and anyone heavily invested in crypto. They're all feeling the burn from that instability and intense competition. Okay, so we've talked about billions of dollars, but what does all this actually mean for real people and for different industries? Let's get into the real-world consequences. Well, the overall feeling out there is complicated. It's really mixed. You can see that for almost every group, from startups to travelers. The impact isn't just good or bad. It's a messy mix of both. There really were no simple, clean wins today.
Let's break it down. If you're running an AI startup, you're now facing a tough choice. Do you chase those huge government contracts, or do you stick to your ethical guns and risk getting left behind? For travelers, it's just plain chaos. Thousands of people are stranded right now. If you're in hardware, a new factory is amazing news, but it comes with the headache of soaring prices and supply chain pressure. And for the rest of us who just want to watch our shows, our favorite streaming services are merging. Does that mean we get better shows or just fewer options?
All right, let's pull the camera back and look at the big picture, because what's happening here is literally redrawing the digital front lines across the globe.
You can see the power shifts happening in real time. In the US, there's still a ton of money pouring into AI. But now there's this intense political infighting over how to use it. Meanwhile, China is pushing full steam ahead, especially with things like humanoid robots. And then you have India, which is making a huge strategic move to become a go-to hub for semiconductors. And this is why it's so important. We're watching the global tech supply chain get completely rewired, and the new battlegrounds are AI and computer chips.
So, with all this change and, frankly, chaos, what are you supposed to do? Let's get practical. Here's your strategic playbook for what's coming.
All right, listen up. If you're a founder, you have to prioritize transparent AI safety. It's not a nice-to-have anymore, it's your license to operate. For you investors out there, you now have to think like a geopolitical analyst. Look for that risk in your portfolio. For enterprise leaders, it's time to take a hard look at your supply chain and ask tough questions about your AI vendors' political risks. And for all the developers watching, get good at AI safety and governance. That's not just a niche skill anymore, it's what will land you the major contracts.
And finally, the big question. What happens next? Let's read the tea leaves and look at what today's signals are telling us about tomorrow.
Okay, in the short term, say the next 3 to 6 months, get ready for a lot more regulatory heat on all the big AI players. We're also going to see these travel and supply chain headaches continue. And here's a big one. Businesses are probably going to tap the brakes on adopting AI as they try to figure out all this new political risk. Now, looking out a year from now, India's position as a semiconductor superpower is going to be cemented. And the job market for AI professionals? It's going to shift in a major way, with a huge new demand for skills in ethics and governance.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most important question. As AI and national security become one and the same, is the future of innovation going to be driven by progress, or is it going to be driven by politics?
For more tech news and deeper dives, make sure you visit newsbite.tech.